Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to another episode of Going Over. I'm your neighborhood-friendly coach, your neighborhood-friendly trainer, promoter. I am a 43-year-old, damn it, professional wrestler. I still got to get out there and do it. Zack Primetime Reeb. I'm joined alongside my podcast partner, the 7-foot wrecking ball, Paul Isadora. And Paul, Today we got a man who's cut from the same cloth as us. We get up, we still do this training, we still run these schools, we still live the dream to help these young guys. We've been doing it a long time, 25 plus years. There's a lot of lineage, there's a lot of experience on this screen right now. Today, ladies and gentlemen, it's the big ugly J.D. Bishop.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
How you doing today, Gabe?
Not too bad. Man, a little beat up from yesterday, but I'm good.
Oh man, I can imagine you wrestle a brand new guy. I can imagine that you took some lumps, I'm sure. But man, it's just I've talked about this in a couple of the other episodes, but like we started this podcast. And it was a laundry list of guys, right? That we're like, well, we got to have these people on the list, and and you're the guy, in my mind, at least, that had to be on the podcast, right? Because I feel like, for people that don't know my whole story, after I got trained here in Reno, it was the first place that I went was SPW, and and you were running the show, and I always felt a sense of loyalty to you based off of giving me my first opportunity to get into the ring, and just put me in matches, and kind of just throwing me in there, right? It's like, on the job training. You're going to go work with people, and you're going to learn how to do this. So you're the guy in my mind that's like, when you need someone to work, I'm going to try to make sure that it happens. And I don't know, and I've talked on obviously other podcasts, and you and I have talked about that as well, just about, I don't want to say putting you over, but that's exactly what it is, right, man? It's me showing my appreciation, loyalty, things like that, for the guy that gave me my first opportunity in the pro wrestling business, and I'm forever grateful for that. But I think about the two of you guys. Zack had talked about this in another podcast, but working in the 90s, working in the 2000s, working in the 2010s, working in the 2020s, 4 decades of experience, with both of you guys. So this is one of those episodes that I feel like I'm going to be, taking notes, sitting back and listening to, two of the guys that I consider, the masters when it comes to, pro wrestling, training, longevity, all of those things kind of encapsulated, within the screen right here. So, welcome here. I know that Zack's got some questions that he kind of had put together, and I think, from watching a couple of the podcasts, this isn't like a get to know you. This is like, we're going to throw out a topic. We're going to just kind of go around the table and chat about it, give our 2 cents. And, today I feel like no better 2 guys to have, on the screen here, this direction, than you guys. So fire away, Zack.
Well, thank you, Mr. Wrecking Ball. So I've been following. I watch all your videos every time because we're friends on Facebook and social media, and I follow everything you do. I've been watching these 20 ugly blogs, and I feel like a piece of shit because I watch it and I don't hit the fucking like button, man. So I'm gonna go back. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm going back and I'm gonna like it, and I'm gonna throw a comment on every one because I'm sitting here watching it, and that's something that pisses me off, is that I know that's why I post stories. because it took people a long time to realize, oh, he can see that we're checking out his story. So we're watching his shit, but we ain't liking his shit. So nah, I feel like a piece of shit. I'm going to go back and like all that stuff and make a comment. But speaking of that blog, I watched the one from, I believe it was yesterday. You had the big debut in Vacaville.
Yeah.
You had a good crowd. You were really happy with the way everything was going. Me and Paul came down to a show, and I was happy that things turned around for you. But I saw that you wrestled one of your students.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I noticed was I saw you do the old Jeff Hardy whisper in the wind.
Yeah.
With nobody home, baby. Look, Ma, no hands. And a big bump on the mat. And I know sometimes I hit that mat now at my age, and I'm only 40. I just turned 43, and my legs tingle a little bit. And it stops the old get back up and bumping feet around for these guys. And we know the high school boy bump is the first thing to go. But today I really wanted to talk to you because you being 51, correct?
Yeah.
You being 51, Paul being 49, and me being 43. One thing I wanted to talk about, and we're going to take this back to when we started. We're going to take this through the middle of our career, this second stage, and then now where we're at. I wanted to talk about the actual, the longevity. What does it take to stay focused and stay motivated for these kids? And I'm going to turn it over to you right now because I'm very interested. At 51, you still get up. You still drive the ring truck, which I know ain't good on the back. I see you on these blogs, and you look great on the way to the show. You look happy when you're at the show, and then I see that final conclusion, whether you get called into fucking work or the day's over. And at the end of these nights, we look like we're just rode hard and put away wet, man. So just I want to know what do you do at this age and this time with three sons that wrestle too? What do you do, and what advice would you give to everybody on staying focused through your career?
Yeah, it's for me. I've always been a competitor. I've always loved to compete in sports and just whatever I do. And I've known that I've never been the best at one thing, but I always train like I'm trying to be the best. I've always, when we started bringing in the Reno guys, for example, I was considered one of the top guys around here. And then we brought in Adam, and I was like, fuck, this kid's like 4 or 5 years younger than me, and he's fucking amazing. And then we had like, the guys, Dante and all them coming in, and I was like, man, I gotta continue to get better because these guys are fucking good. And then as we started traveling, you meet guys who are fucking way better than you. And I just always took that mindset that like, I don't care who I'm around or what I'm doing. I'm going to compete like I'm trying to get signed. I don't give a fuck how long it takes. Now I know that my better days are behind me and Triple H ain't going to come knocking at the door, but I'm still fucking working out like I am now. I can't train in the ring like I did back in the day because I'm so banged up, but that doesn't stop me from working, whether it's promoting now or booking now, training, just going to the gym. I still try to be the best at everything. And then, like I said, the best is subjective to who's judging it. But, I always have that mentality, whereas like if I'm not consistently trying to get better, then I don't feel like I've achieved anything. And those days when I'm doing those long days, we did a while back, me and Abigail went to Oregon and did the deathmatch show. We were done at like 1 a.m, went to the hotel, had to be up at 3 to get to the plane, airport to fly back here. And then I had to go do a show up and fucking get the ring truck loaded up and go to a show in Grass Valley and do a show there at the library and then bring it home. And man, I was dead. I was fucking done. At the end of that video, I was just, my eyes were up. I was falling asleep. I just couldn't do it. But when I watched the video and I seen my students working hard and I seen the fans' reaction and I just seen how appreciative everybody was, like in Oregon when we came out, we were surprised and the place fucking erupted. That's what keeps me going and motivated, that there's still people that give a shit about me as a wrestler. There's still people who care about my product, and my students and the people around me are still continuing to work hard and try to be better every time we get in the ring. So for me, what keeps me motivated is just being around people who make me motivated, and I said a speech at DOA a few months back, and they had some really good talent there. And I was like, listen, I'm getting clear from the doctor. And I know a lot of you guys are trying to take the top spot, but that's my fucking spot. And if you want it, you better fucking work your ass off and take it from me, because I'm just not going to hand it over. And they got all fired up and motivated and fired me up and got me motivated. So that's just what keeps me going, man. Just being around the business and always knowing that No matter what I do, there's somebody trying to get better than me, which is always going to try to make me get better than them.
Oh yeah, I know. Too, I wanted to touch with you, Paul. So I know that, like for us, Gabe, we've always been in the gym, and this has been something that we do in eating healthy. And I know as we get older, it's so fucking tough to eat healthy, man. I'll go on like 17 straight days of like chicken breast and broccoli, and then I
Yeah.
get fed up with it. I need my Chinese food. I need my pizza. I need that shit, man. I need my sugar. I need to fill it up. And it's not that we can't still lift the same weight that we could before. It's the fact that if we pinch a nerve, if we tear a muscle, throw out our back, it's going to take us 10 times
Yeah.
the recovery to get over that injury. And we all know about these damn injuries. One thing I wanted to talk about with all of us is I know from 2012 to like 2018, man, I had a ripped 8-pack. I mean, there was 8, man. I was really, really in shape. And I was talking to Paul, and I learned a lot about Paul in this last year. I learned a lot with AJ. I didn't know he was on fucking Tough Enough with AJ before he got let go. But one thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, and Paul, I want you to hop in and let us know. So Paul had sent me a picture of when he first went to WWE, and he was, 7 foot, 325 pounds, just fucking jacked up and just all in. And you were saying Steamboat really loved you, but then they told you, we need you to lose some weight. We need you to shrink down a little bit. So then Paul sends me another picture, and he's in some little fucking dunce, and he's bronzed out, and he's over here at 290 pounds with his ass cheeks hanging out as an actual bodybuilder. And you went back, Paul, and they told you, oh, you got to put some weight back on. So you were doing the old runaround, and we're talking about this staying focused, man, continuing to train. We're talking about this staying motivated with students. So you got to get in there and spar with them. And what is your motivation moving forward at 49? Think back to that time when WWE told you at your biggest, most, in shape to cut that weight. Just tell me a little bit about, especially with the neck injury, anything, just moving forward here.
Right. So I mean, I think it was just you're trying to, like Ugly said, you're trying to keep up with everybody else, right? So, I feel like I surrounded myself with some of the best guys around, with Adam and Lester, Malachi, Corey, all these guys, Cheapy. So I always felt like I was trying to keep up with these guys, because I always felt like they were way better than I was. And, to make me feel like I belonged, I needed to be the best version of myself. So, I think it was Virgil that came back from Harley Race's camp, and was like, "Hey, you guys got to go to this. There's no two ways about it. Like, this is the place that you need to go, and to try to get opportunities." And I think it was focused specifically on me, because people thought, oh, it'd be a better fit for me, maybe Japan, being a gigantic white guy. So that was a good opportunity for me to get seen by Pro Wrestling Noah. So, and I remember asking Vinny before, because I knew he would have the best perspective based off of his knowledge about, like, what should I go? How should I look when I go to this tryout, and this camp with, for the Noah guys to see me? And he basically just told me, you should be wearing like those boxer trunks. So I was like, all right, that's what I'm wearing. So I did that, and got seen, and Steamboat liked me, and I thought that was kind of like, okay, perfect. Now I'm going to get signed. So then the first ever time that I got to go and be extra, it was like, oh, you're too big, let's lean out. And then so I worked my ass off. Adam, I thought, was always really good dietary advice, and lifting and all these things. So Adam helped me out to try to get into the best shape possible, and then I go back lighter, and then they tell me, oh, you got to get bigger. So it's just, and then obviously I had no idea about, like, this is just how it works. They're gonna fuck with you and see, what you're willing to do. Are you willing to go to this extreme and then this extreme? And, so I always tried to do that type of stuff. And, it was always, I was a pro basketball player, doing, being disciplined was never the issue for me. Confidence was always the issue for me. It was always like, I always thought I wasn't good enough to do it. So, so that was my what held me back was the mental aspect of it, and not thinking that I was better than other people and not think that I deserved an opportunity. But as we're moving forward, you know for me it's just I want to try to help out the next generation, and I think we all have that in common, that's what we're trying to accomplish, and we want to try to impart our knowledge on these guys, and help them get better, and hopefully they'll get the opportunities that maybe we didn't get, or in my case I think some of the opportunities that I probably didn't put as much effort into because I didn't think I had a chance to get signed somewhere, so try to tell those stories, and hopefully they can learn from mistakes I made going forward. So for me it's just try to stay in somewhat shape, and then when I have the opportunity to get back in there, then I'll be raring to go. So running a school is going to be the first step of that, and that starts January 1st.
Yeah, Gabe, you've always ran a school. I was talking on the podcast the other day, and we were talking about rivalries. And I was talking about Rick Luxury and Adam Thornstowe, how they did the best of seven. Can can you kind of just you did a best of seven with Adam, right?
I did one with Adam and one with Thatcher.
Oh yes. Tell us about the best of seven series and what that entails as you're moving on for these young guys in creating a rivalry that fans want to come back and they want to pay their money to watch two guys wrestle the possibility of, well, you guys did 7 times no matter what, right?
No, I think one of the times after I stopped booking, it went 6. But that was after I stopped booking for SPW. I think it went 6 or something like that. And then, yeah, I don't know what else. I think they stopped doing it. It just, I don't know. I don't know. I loved it. I kind of stole the idea from WCW when they were doing Booker T and Benoit. We're doing a best of 5, I think. I wanted to make it a little different. And at the first when I was working Adam, I was really known for doing hardcore. He always wanted to do hardcore. Obviously he was known for being a fucking great athlete. So I wanted to just start with one match. After that match, the next one, we add a little bit in the ante. So the next one was like 2 out of 3 falls. And the third one, usually would do like a street fight or no DQ or something like that. And then they progressively get worse until the Iron Man at the end if you make it to 7. So I just thought it would be pretty cool. And according to who you work, like when I worked Thatcher, we did the Queen of Marsberry rules or Marlbury rules or whatever. It was like a European style match. So we just try to make it different every time so the fans didn't get bored of it. And it was once a year, but it took up 7 months of the year for the champ. So it was a little rough, but I got to work Adam for 7 months straight, got to work Timmy for 7 months straight. So for me, it was the fucking dream come true. But yeah, I just thought it was really cool, really creative, and we got to do a lot of cool things, and we got to build up this huge story that was always a big payoff, and the fans bought into it. The boys bought into it, So yeah, it was pretty cool, man. It was a pretty cool idea, and I really consider doing it again because I got some really solid guys in my company that I would love to see in a best of 7 series. It's just nowadays there's so many companies that book guys, it's hard to get them fucking every month because some of these companies are like, dude, there's 2 or 3 shows a day now. It's what SoCal was 20 years ago, where you have 2 shows fucking in the same city now, so it's hard to book some of these guys nowadays. But yeah, I always thought the best of 7 series was great.
Do you so when you're looking at it right now, when you're looking at today's talent, right? And you were talking about there being so many shows. We've talked about that before, and it's hard to get these guys because people are still under the mentality of, oh, I was booked here first. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm going to take this booking over that booking. What advice would you give these young guys when and I know I've listened to a lot of what you had to say, but like for these young guys listening in, what advice would you give them for furthering their career, especially here locally? What advice would you give them as far as like what bookings to take and what bookings to steer clear of?
I tell most of my guys, you always have your home fed, as they call it, the company you trained at. That's always going to be your priority. Now, GZW, Defy, or somebody comes through town and wants to give you a shot, you got to do what you got to do. I always said, tell these guys, I don't mind you going somewhere else to work, but don't commit to doing something for me and then fuck me at the last minute. Just stick with my booking. If I give you a date 2 months out, then honor it. If you choose not to, in return, I can choose not to use you again because you're fucking unreliable. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you want the bigger, better things, do your thing. But if you're gonna screw me on a booking, I have the option to not fucking use you anymore because I can't rely on you being there. But what I generally tell people is, say you have somebody from your company, who's one of your top kids right now? Zach,
let's say Rayshawn Prince.
Rayshawn Prince. Say, hey, these are my bookings for the year, blah, blah, blah. And then, hey, why don't you fucking try to go up to Oregon or down to LA or somewhere else, Reno or somewhere else and get other bookings outside the area. I tell my guys, if you stick in NorCal, you're going to be a fucking NorCal in the wasteland down here because there's so many guys on the top of cards that ain't ready to give up their spot. If this is when I went up to Oregon the first time, I went up there and I was a fucking piece of clay up there, and they fucking made me whatever they wanted to make me. I was a new guy to the area, so they built me up. I was originally like one of the Vianos, fucking from the Vianos gym or some shit like that. Like they built up this whole fucking storyline with me, and I didn't even know what the fuck they were talking about. I just knew I was gonna be on TV, so I was like, yeah, do whatever the fuck you want. But they used me in all kinds of shit and helped me propel my career up there. I tell you guys go to a new area, the promoters, he doesn't have to tell the fucking fans that you've been wrestling for a year. You've been wrestling for 2 years. You could be a fucking, ex-football player or something. They can make up some gimmick for you, and now all of a sudden you're a fucking star somewhere because nobody there knows you or has worked you. So I tell them you're like a piece of clay in a art master's fucking hands, dude. They can do whatever they want with you. So get the fuck out, go work other places, and don't stay just local. Stick to your one or two companies here and go the fuck out, man. Get work other places. Get your name out there. When I started working in Oregon, after there a few months, I started bringing in my guys, and then we did a pay-per-view up there and took over the fucking company. I think the only match that wasn't our guys was the Blanchard brothers who fought each other. It was Dr. Luther and Luster and Adam and Paul versus me and Vinny, Rick. I think we're Choop, Timmy, and like Virgil or something. It was like a whole fucking NorCal pay-per-view, pretty much. We just went and took over. So I tell my guys, get the fuck out, dude. Don't stay in NorCal. There's too many guys in NorCal that have been here for fucking 15 to 20 years that never go anywhere. I'm like, dude, our job's to get the fuck out of here, and stick to our home fed and help it grow. But yeah, I just tell guys, man, you gotta travel. Wrestling's a bill at first. It's not a fucking moneymaker. I used to fucking spend way more money than now with the school, but I used to spend way more money on wrestling than I did making it at first, and driving to Oregon, driving to fucking LA and all this bullshit. It's an expense, man. It's not a fucking income. But a lot of guys don't want to get that when they can go down the street and work for $50 and then go across town to the other city or the other company work for $40, and they're happy they made fucking $50 that weekend. But they wrestled in the same city, probably the same guy, showed up in the same fucking car together, and wrestled the same fucking match. One was a heel, one's a babyface, and they switch them to get to the next building, So they're not learning that way and they're not getting better. So I just tell them, if that's what you guys want to do, fucking do it. I just want nothing to do with you. And I use guys that I know want to do things in this business.
Yeah, I was talking to Paul, and he had asked me on one of his shows a couple months back. He had sat down. We always bring up the fucking squash match, man. I'm fucking fixated on this because I saw a kid in a squash match, and he fucking he got a couple hip tosses, a couple arm drags, a roll up, and then he fucked up the crucifix. And we're sitting there afterwards, and he goes, "Yeah, we blew that spot." And I said, "What the fuck, kid?" I said, "Did you just say you blew a spot in the squash match?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "I'm just gonna assume here that you guys planned this entire squash match out because it went a lot longer, and it was definitely not a squash." He said, "Yeah, we talked about everything." And Paul asked me, he said, "Do you think that we have to pull these guys aside and actually tell them what we want when they go out here?" And I said, "Yes, man, we have to pull these fucking kids aside and say, this is what I want. Yeah. This is what I need you to do." As part of my bookings, we do a lot of production, man. So when I tell somebody to show up at the show at fucking a 2 or a 3 o'clock call time, I'm not just telling them to show up at the show just to fucking hang out so they're there. You know what I mean? It's like, Paul, what do you think when you tell somebody to go out there and you say, hey, get the better of them because you're the baby. When the crowd's up, cut them off. What's your thought when somebody goes out there and you say, hey, you're in the main event. You wanted this. Give it to me. And 7 minutes later, they didn't tell you they didn't do fucking anything you asked them to do as far as like outlining what's going on here.
Well, it frustrates you for sure. It's like you want the story to be told a certain way, and I guess it was just the way that we came up. I thought there was a pretty good understanding of kind of what you wanted because we were pretty much on the same wavelength when it came to the storytelling aspect, right? We were all from the same era. We watched the same type of wrestling, but unfortunately, I think it's a little bit different. These guys see, a lot of, we'll use the boo yay spot as an example, right? You see that so much, and then you go to a show, and that's in every single match. And if I'm not mistaken, Ugly, I believe that I've been in a booking meeting where you say, hey, the only match that's going to do that is going to be the main event. I don't want to see it in any other fucking match tonight, right?
Yeah.
So, and so for me, that's my fault for just not oversimplifying things to that aspect, right? And go, hey guys, listen, this guy's going to use this as his finish, so nobody else use that move tonight. This is the finish of this match, so nobody else use that. I guess when it was us in the locker room, and we were the guys that were counted on by the promoters, we would go around and go, hey, what's your finish tonight? What are you winning by or whatever? And go, okay, well, I'm not doing that. And we would also stand at the curtain and watch the matches before us, and it wasn't like, you saw something in a match before you and go, fuck, I've got that in my match too. Ah, shit, I'll just do it anyway. Right? You go, oh, hey, guy, you tap the guy and go, or you go find him and you go, hey, man, they just did whatever this this series that we were thinking about putting in our match. So let's scrap that part. Let's figure something else out. So we don't, look like a carbon copy of the match before us, or hey, that happened earlier on the show. I can't tell you how many shows I've been at that have been, match 1 works the arm, match 2 works the arm, match 3 works the arm. It's like, all right, guys, let's open our eyes. Let's watch some other matches on the show. Not only because you don't want to repeat what happened earlier, but let's try to learn from other people too. Yeah. Someone's going to do something that you like. Someone's going to do something that you go, man, I thought that would work, but that was the shits right there. Yeah. And I don't want to do that in my match. Yeah. So definitely frustrating when you see that, especially when the people go and they go to a larger school to go to one of these, multiple month seminars where they're just in there, doing just that. And, we talked earlier today about how it's not a magic button, right? Mm-hmm. You don't go to, a Seth Rollins, a Cody Rhodes, flatbacks. You don't go to these places and you're just automatically going to get better unless you have that mentality where you have your ears open and your mouth shut and you go very much like I've heard you Ugly talk about John Morrison. Hey, forget everything I taught you, man. These guys are going to teach you this way, and just listen to what they're telling you to do. And we've talked about that. I feel like ad nauseum about certain guys come back from being at a developmental deal or whatever, and they should be the person that's going to give us the best advice of what WWE or AEW or whatever is looking for right now. And this is what we should be kind of, you talked about being molded like clay. That's how we should mold ourselves. Like, this is what we're looking to do. This is how you can get signed right now. So change what you're doing to do what they're looking for you to do. And that's the way you're going to get signed. So, yeah, definitely. I mean, maybe some, input on that type of stuff. Matches that you guys see doing that.
When I book my stuff, I try to control. I mean, with mainly the undercard as much as I can. You know, I control the fucking finishes, who's going over, and I have to tell guys, okay, you're going over clean. Well, I thought that I don't care what you fucking thought. Your match fucking 2. You hit a fucking body slam or whatever the fucking move is. Like, you don't have to have a lot of young guys don't want a fucking job. Like they're worried, oh, I'm gonna look weak. No, it's a fucking work. Everybody knows what the fuck's going on. Shit, there's videos on YouTube explaining how we do this shit. So nobody fucking believes what we're doing. But I don't need you going out there match 2, doing a fucking dive out, hitting somebody with the fucking chair, bumping the ref. Like, your match fucking 2, let's build up. Earn your spot later in the card as you get better at your fundamentals. And we'll do something with you later. But I really have to, some of those guys, what are you guys doing? No, you take that out. What? I mean, because I don't fucking like it. It's stupid. Like, everybody, if you go to any indie show you go to, you get 2 guys and they do the shoulder tackle spot. Whip off. You hit the fucking ropes. No, you hit them now. And then, what the fuck? What? You're fucking looking at, I'm just going to fucking punch you. Like, what the fuck? Like, why would I there? Go do it again. No, fucker. I didn't want to take it the first fucking time. And I would just fucking clock you, you know? Or one thing I hate to rant, but you know me, I have this fucking issue when these dumb motherfuckers want to do like a low blow with the ref not looking and then hit their fucking finisher. It fucking makes no sense. You're taking heat off the low blow. Like, if you're gonna win a match by a low blow, then fucking roll them up. Like, you don't have to hit your fucking flying power bomb or what the fuck ever, you know? Hit it, roll it up. The guy continue to sell his balls because people don't do that nowadays. And then you fucking bail out before the ref can change their fucking mind. You know, these guys want to sit there and do a fucking dance and no, you snuck in a win. Get the fuck out, you know. But they want to put themselves over, and I try to explain this to them. You know, like, guys, this is psychology of wrestling. You cheated to win. Get the fuck out, you know. And they want to. I had this happen a few weeks back at Lucha. A guy wanted to hit his low blow and then do a fucking power bomb or some shit. I'm like, what the fuck? That makes no sense. I booked Marcus Lewis a while back because I love Marcus Lewis, right? And he fucking is working Mercedes and does that, hits the mule kick low blow and then does his 450. I was like, Marcus, why the fuck would you do that? And I go on this little rant to him. He's like, yeah, Gangrel told me that last night. I go, well, why the fuck would you do it again? Like, what the fuck? Gangrel just told you it was wrong, and you went and did it again. He's like, yeah, I know that was stupid. And that's fucking Marcus Lewis. He's been working for years, you know, but it's just the way the industry is, man. And if you don't control those things, it reflects on your show. So I try to control all that shit, man. And if somebody chooses not to do what I'm asking, like I said earlier, I choose not to use you again, you know? And there's no fucking audible or whatever they want to call nowadays because you shouldn't be canning anything or the whole thing anyways, you know? Just go out there and feel it, you know, and work, you know, can a couple things. And I mean, fuck, I worked you, Zach, about 20 years ago at that fucking porn shop or whatever the fuck it was.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we talked about the finish and just went out there and called it. You know, I see these guys now booking their shit in the back. Okay, I'll hit you here. I'll hit you here. What the fuck are you calling heat for? Like, it's fucking beyond me, dude. It utterly, I'm like, fucking stop. Don't. And then some guys are just all nervous because I'm yelling, but I'm like, what the fuck? Where did you train at? Who's teaching you to do this shit this way? You know? And then they go out there and shit the bed and, you know.
I try to definitely tell these kids. I was talking to one of mine the other day, and he's like, how do I talk to somebody? And I said, well, you're the baby face. You use the ankle lock. I said, tell them no matter what you grab on me, whether it's a waist lock, a hammer lock, if you take me over with the headlock, if you whip me to a corner and I put the boot up and you fucking hip toss me or whatever, I sunset flip you, everything I'm going to do, I'm going to counter that hold that you have on me. And I'm going to pick your ankle up and I'm going to try to take that motherfucker home. And when the crowd starts to elevate up and we start to hear them elevating up, that's when the heel is going to, that's when the villain's going to cut. And you just tell them, I'm just going to go for your ankle until you decide to cut me off. And when you cut me off, you just we'll listen to the audience psychologically. And when they start getting behind it, I'll start pulling myself up and fighting back. And then when they're their loudest, then we can go home. Because one thing I tell these guys, Gabe, and it really drives me crazy is I don't want to see your shit until it's time to see your shit.
Yeah.
It's time to go home, because that's the cutoff for the heel is almost like the cutoff for the baby face. When he finally comes back, he gets that move to bring himself up. And I'm like, when you come back, I don't give a fuck what you could do. Everything in the book, man. You could pull a gun out and shoot this guy if you want to. I don't care. Throw it all out there at the end. Hit all your big stuff, dude. But do it after the comeback when you're coming home, because it just, you talk about irritation and you talk about people not selling the nuts. If I have to see another person kick an 1/8-inch cable rope wrapped in fucking hard garden hose into somebody's nuts. I saw it the other day. Someone sent me some footage. And then the guy, he didn't sell his nuts. He got hit with a Randy Orton DDT.
Yeah.
And I asked the guy who sent me the footage, I said, why the fuck did why did he hit you with the Randy Orton DDT? He didn't let you sell down and sell your nuts. That you might not come back from this fucking match because it could have split your testicle bag. Yeah. And he says, well, he likes to do the Randy Orton DDT. And I said, who gives a fuck what he likes? Have him hit that shit at the end of the fucking match when it fucking matters. Why is he hitting it now? And I get so frustrated. Why are we ramming their head into the side apron when we can throw it into the 10-ton fucking pole holding the goddamn ring up? Why? I always tell my students, you want to know how to sell that hit with your head into the turnbuckle? You want to know how to sell that shit? Come outside the ring. I'm going to ram your head into the fucking turnbuckle.
Yep.
What would happen if I rammed your head into that goddamn turnbuckle? And it pisses me off because it's like, can we please we have this wrestling ring and there are things that we can use on the wrestling ring. People are like, oh, I just want to get in the ring and hit the ropes. I want to hit those ropes so bad and bump on that ring. I'm going to tell you what, you hit those fucking ropes wrong, you're going home and your ribs are hurting. You might throw your damn back out.
Bruised up and shit. Yeah.
It's going to happen, man. And it drives me crazy. It's like, I was telling someone the other day, if you're going to hit that corner and you're going to have a burst of energy or adrenaline and come out and nail the guy, after you nail him, sell that fucking corner like you would sell that corner afterwards.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with having a burst of energy, but then offensively sell that shit, man.
Yeah. I have my refs. I tell my refs, if you see a low blow, the match is over. Ring the fucking bell. If the guys are pissed off, they'll talk to me and back. And then the other thing I tell my refs, if you warn a guy for eye poking and he does it again, fucking DQ him, because I've already warned you once. So my guys all know, don't make my refs look stupid. I mean, there's ways you make them look stupid in tag matches, blind tagging and shit. But if the ref's looking at you and you fucking eye gouge and they say, hey, don't do that again, I'll DQ you. And then you fucking do it again and the ref says, one more time, and you fucking do it again, like you're making my refs look shitty, which makes my company look shitty. So I tell my refs, if they do the same illegal move twice, fucking DQ them. And if they have a problem, they can come back and talk to me. You know, I mean, it's a fucking simple rule. You can't follow it, then I'm sorry. You know, there's other companies to work for that let you do that shit. You know, I don't know, man. This business has been so bastardized. I like to keep a little bit of shit looking real, you know, looking believable. And some of the shit guys do, it's not just me being the old fart, not liking it. It's just so out of place, you know.
Absolutely, and I know how you are, man. You shit on some of the new stuff, not because it doesn't work, but it's just it doesn't fit your eye because you're more old school, and I think me and Zach very similar in that same aspect. That we we want to see things a certain way, and even to the point when we're talking to AJ about you know wrestling being a production versus an actual athletic event. I still have trouble wrapping my mind around it, even though I've been in the situations where I'm in a character and it doesn't make sense per se. But when you put it into the production value, if you look at it like a movie, things like that. But yeah, I definitely I'm on the same page as far as we want to make it look realistic. We don't want the referees to look stupid. We don't want to treat the fans like they're stupid, like they don't, if something doesn't make sense, like they're just going to go, oh yeah, that's fine, no problem. So yeah, I definitely feel you on that. And you touched on tag wrestling, and I think we could do an entire podcast on that,
Oh,
of
yeah.
my just frustration with the way the tag wrestling is. And I think we'll have to save that for another podcast in itself, because like I said, I think we can do a whole thing on that. But Zach, you
Well,
look like you want to say something.
fuck yeah, I want to say
All right,
something.
fire away, man.
Well, you're talking about tag wrestling, man. It's like if these guys can't go out here and wrestle for if they can't do a 2-3 minute squash match, if they can't fucking get out here and wrestle a 5-6 minute whatever match, it's like now you got 4 guys out there. And those are some of my favorite matches to watch, is 4 guys who can't do this other thing that are going out there to tag match. And then you want to throw a couple sweet elements. You want to throw a couple sweet elements on top. We get a shitty referee, and then we get a shitty manager too. So now we got 6 shitheads that don't know what's going on out there trying. Because tag team wrestling, to us, to somebody that's been around a long time, tag team wrestling, especially, you got Vinny, I had Rick Luxury, Adam had Luster. The thing we all have in common is we're all really close. We travel together, we talk together. I know with Rick that if we are booked, I can depend on Rick. I can rely on Rick that he's not going to fuck my booking, and I'm not going to fuck his booking, because when you get into some tag wrestling, which we'll talk about down the road, is you're relying on another person on your career. You got to be able to trust that guy. And we got to be able to trust these guys, because we were talking about it last night. We did one, and it was slow the fuck down. And you hear it so much in this wrestling business, and it has so many different meanings, Gabe. It's like, slow the fuck down when you're training. If you can't do this shit in slow motion, if you don't understand, like, I'm grabbing here, you grab here, this is why we're doing this. People just want to get in the ring, and they just want to, like, I'm going to do this as fast as I fucking can. And it's like, no, dipshit. You're not going to do this as fast as you fucking can, because you're going to get hurt. And then I'm supposed to be out here with you. And I want to get your guys' take on this, because I was dealing with it today. I had a great session today with a lot of great young wrestlers that I can't wait for you guys to see, and for hopefully to wrestle on your guys' product. But I was telling these guys, excuse me, I'm fucking burping everywhere. Getting old, man. I was telling these guys at the same sense, I'm going, hey man, you guys have to slow the fuck down. And not just for the simple fact that, like, somebody could get hurt, but I was talking about the cardio in wrestling. Like, when we take off on a run, if we haven't ran in a while, we take off on that run, Gabe, Paul, we take off on it, and we're fucking like, and then we get going, and our heart rate picks up, and we start sweating, and we're like, okay, this run ain't so bad. And then when we stop the run, we're hacking and spitting, and we're tired and gassed. And I don't think people truly understand about slowing down and catching their air in this business, because it's like, oh, I'm in a tag match or whatever, I got to get in the ring, I've got to burst, and now I'm my breathing's up. Now I got to slow my breathing back down because I'm not doing nothing. Oh, and then guess what I have to do now again, guys? I've got to burst again. And we have to do this so many times during the match. And then all of a sudden it's, oh shit, now we've got to go home and bump and feed and go to this big finish 20 minutes into this shit, when we've just been running, cooling down, running, cooling down. What do you guys think when it comes down to, because we're talking about staying focused, Gabe, Paul, how do you guys keep your breathing regimen going at this pace, this point in our career? And do you feel the effects of gassing out and breathing in the ring?
Yeah,
And also,
oh, go ahead, Paul. Okay,
I was going to say, so yeah,
go ahead,
I was just going to say,
Uh-oh.
like, just I would try to you try to pace yourself. Obviously, I'm not going to be moving around the ring like you guys are, right? I'm going to be moving at a slow pace regardless, but there's definitely the times that there's going to be a more competitive match, and the story is, I'm getting, outmaneuvered or whatever. So then the match has to, the pace has to quicken. But what we always tell people is, you need to find those spots where you're able to get some breaths in, right? So uh, if I'm putting heat on a guy, I need to make sure that I'm slowing my breathing, and I need to be able to kind of work to kind of keep my wind as I'm working at a slow pace in anticipation for the quickening coming at some point that I don't gas out. So I think for me that's you just have to put yourself in those situations, and I don't think you guys will disagree that there's no better training for doing that than just getting in the ring and doing it, right? Running the ropes, and I've talked about, before how, when you have a ring set up, you can just go in there by yourself and you can wrestle the invisible man, try to blow yourself up, try to get your breathing back down, like you can put yourself through those paces because, we all know for some reason, you get in the wrestling ring, that adrenaline kicks in, you got that fight or flight mentality, something happens that blows you up so quickly, you got these guys that are out there running marathons or half marathons or, big long runs, and they do it just fine. But then they get into a wrestling ring, and it's a whole other, way to do, a way to blow yourself up. The cardio is completely different. So, I think the best way to do that is put yourself in those situations, and and I think training is the only way to really do that. And I feel like I'm going to be at a huge disadvantage when it comes back to trying to jump back in the ring because it's going to be like starting all over, So go ahead, Ugly.
That's one thing I tell my students. You can never account for the adrenaline. I don't give a fuck how much your cardio is, but when you're new in this business and that fucking your music hits and you go to that curtain, the fucking adrenaline shock is you're gassed no matter what, because that's the excitement you have. Your heart's just fucking going. So that way that just takes time to get over that. But I think the biggest problem is when these fucking guys are canning their spots out, they don't can heat. They don't can fucking work in a chin lock or a rear naked or whatever. They go, okay, we're going to do this spot and then give me in a hold and then we'll go to this spot. So when they get them in that, where they should be sitting there trying to escape, catching their fucking breath, they sit there, okay, you ready? Let's go. And then they go to the next spot. And then they're so fucking blown, they got to roll out of the ring and shit. And I try to teach my guys, like, all the shit you're doing between your spots is where you're resting. You're working. You're working heat. Take some heat. Move around. Catch your breath. I go back to when I was in the military and we would jog. We do cadence. We'd always be singing while we're jogging. So I've always talking when I'm wrestling. Always either talking to the ref or the guy I'm working the fan, or I'm just like, yeah, come on, daddy. And that way my breath is staying the same. Keep going. But I try to tell my kids, like, when they'll be doing some chain in class and they snap me a rear chin and then boom, they get up right away. I'm like, fucking stop. Slow down, work, try to get out the fucking hold, fucking don't let them get it, keep it back. And this is where you're breathing. And they're just starting to figure that out now because they want so bad to go to that tackle or the fucking body slam or whatever. They forget that it's a work. You got to work the fucking hold, and that's what I tell my guys when I say slow down. That doesn't mean you rip over and under, rear chin. Okay, let's get the next spot. Like, fucking stay there. Wrench it. Make that mean something, fucking go to your stomach, to have the ref check it. That's all the time when you're fucking breathing, man. Like, they just don't get it right away because they want to hit the big shit, the big moves. And, we were talking earlier about the big moves, and I always give Titus shit because, his style is something I could never do. I mean, that guy's just fucking phenomenal. But he knows enough of what I teach where he keeps it all back end heavy. So the beginning of the match is just work. He does his drop kick or whatever. And then at the end is when he does his big shit. But, when he's in Japan working those guys, some guys are kind of set off at the way he works because they want to hit a lot of shit. And he's like, no, it doesn't make sense. And he does what he wants, but, and I think in a sense it's kind of why they like him. But yeah, he works stuff a certain way. But yeah, he has that style where he's just boom, 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 go right at, but he saves it for the end, But yeah, I can talk about that all day. But yeah, so I just tell my kids, man, you got to work a hold. And depending upon who you work, like I've probably worked Isadora 25, 30 fucking times. And I mean, we never get blown. I just get my ass kicked. I just fucking take heat, whether I'm heel or babyface. And it's always good. I don't understand. Like I see people get tired and get blown, but I mean, I just don't get how you can't get through it. It's like you find ways to catch your breath, and it's just I don't know. I don't understand how these kids nowadays are coming to back puking. I'm like, you worked a 3-minute fucking match. You worked three. We did a. I don't want to name names, but we did a show a few months ago, and literally the kid he tagged in and took one fucking move, and then we go to the back and he's puking, and I was like, what the fuck? And we were all just like, how the fuck are you puking on an ankle lock? Just like I don't fucking get it. But it just was so out of shape and just so fucking in awe of the situation. I was just like, fuck, like what the fuck,
I had
So,
I had wrestled one of Paul's students actually, and it was at APW, and he was a gymnast. He was a 21-year-old gymnast.
mhm.
And this was back when I was drinking and I'm over here smoking cigarettes, and we went out there and we were supposed to go 13 minutes, and 7 minutes into the match, this 21-year-old with a six-pack gymnast is blowing up, and he's telling
Yeah.
me like, man, I don't got nothing left. And we finished the match, and I go looking for him. And I think it was at the Bay Shore venue out there. So I go looking for this kid, and I'm like, I'm smoking a cigarette too, Gabe. And I'm like, where the fuck is this kid at? And I hear, ugh, ugh. And I walk behind the big dumpster, and he's back there with his hair pulled back, puking. And I look at him, I go, what's wrong with you, kid? And he looks up at me, and he looks at my cigarette and sees me just steam blowing off my head. And he's like, how are you smoking that cigarette? And I said, you got to breathe, baby. You got to breathe. So you had talked about Titus and all the stuff he does, that incredible leapfrog, that very offensive drop down, that beautiful backflip drop. And I'm not comparing myself in a sense. I'm saying I also wrestled that type of style when I was younger. The big leapfrogs, drop kicks, the dive outs, just the big bumps and move. And here I am now. And anything where I'm flipping forward or taking a big bump for, I go, hey man, I'm saying no to some moves now. You know what I mean? I'm like, nah, not really. I don't really want to go up. I'm not looking to go up for that big Paul choke slam anymore. Maybe if he puts me through a fucking table. What advice? And we say the young guys. So what advice would you give your son? What is he right now? 21, 22?
No, he's 23.
23. So what advice would you give him as we talk about staying focused and longevity? What's the best advice you would give him and other young wrestlers out here doing kind of this very athletic, big bumping, hard-hitting style? What advice would you give him moving forward about having some longevity in his career as he expands more, as he continues to go to Japan and get bigger in this professional wrestling industry?
What I always tell him, and along with everybody, because I get a lot of younger guys coming in, guys and girls ask me about things in the business. I tell them, guys, it's not a sprint, man. It's a marathon. If you think that one show is going to get you to the promised land, you're fucking wrong. Learn your craft, learn the fundamentals, learn the basic, learn the psychology. Big bumps don't mean shit. That's all just gravity. You could take 50 fucking Germans, but it doesn't mean shit if your neck's broken. So I just try to tell them, man, you're going to have those shows where you're the main event and you're going to have to do some bigger things. Pick and choose what you do. If you're early on the card, you don't have to do that. It's called work. You could have match of the night and not take any big bumps if you know what the fuck you're doing. If you draw the fans in and what the biggest thing I feel is lacking is connection with the fans. Most wrestlers don't have a connection with the fans, and the ones that do are fucking joking about, like, they joke with the fans. That's why the fans like them, but there's not that real, like, I don't go to a show and fans are invested in anybody anymore. They're not like, oh man, this is my guy. He's gonna finally pull it out. He's gonna finally win from the big villain. Now it's kind of like, oh, I like this guy because he does a great dive outside, or oh, this guy told me my mom was fat, so I don't like him. There's nobody really invested in what's going on anymore. A few months back, I worked Oasis Pro, me and Bishop, and I cut a promo at the end, and the fucking place went crazy. So as I'm leaving, this lady jumped the fucking rail and she hit me. So I fucking spit on her. Yeah, and it was caused this whole big old fucking. She was outside waiting for me and shit. A little boy, 125 pounds. It was wanted to beat my ass, but I just incited him so bad, like, it was fucking crazy. But you know, I wish Oasis would have used that for when I came back and brought a baby. The funny thing is her girlfriend's boyfriend was a wrestler. He was on the card, so it would
Yeah.
have made sense to fucking bring him in to fight me next month or whatever. But whatever. But yeah, there's nobody invested. So like with Titus, like in Japan, those fucking Japanese people fucking love him, man. He found a way to connect with them, and they just fucking love him, man. So he has that going for him. And whenever he fights one of the big stars like Marufuji and stuff, they're fucking on Titus's side, you know, because they just fucking love him, you know. So he found that way to connect with them, you know. And Abigail's a different way. People hate her, you know. And she found a way to make people just fucking utterly hate her. So that's the one thing I try to tell people, man. Just learn to connect with the audience. And if you watch the guys who've made the most money, they're all people who've connected with the fans. You know, the people that can talk good and the people that can draw them in. People give John Cena a shit for the 5 bumps of fucking fury or whatever they call it. Dude, that's all anybody has at that level. You know, I throw like 5 moves and one's a chop. You know, like I don't throw a lot of shit anymore, you know, and I seem to get over at shows, you know. So I just tell my kids, keep shit simple. Don't bump crazy bumps unless you have to. And you know, it's a marathon, man. You learn this shit and you keep going up, and you one day it'll happen, you know. Guys want it to happen overnight and it doesn't. You know, it doesn't unless you're a fucking world's largest podcast audience guy or something. But it just doesn't happen for people. I mean, how many people do we know who've never got that shot? You know, I mean, we've obviously known some that made it, but I mean, I could fucking name probably 40 guys who should be making millions of dollars right now, and they're just not. You know, so yeah, I just try to tell people, man, it's not a sprint, man. Just take your time and just learn to work, man. Learn to work and work out. Get your body physically ready for this shit.
Well, shit, man, you could be there 1 minute and you could be gone. Tim Thatcher, he was with WWE and NXT. They made a whole fucking ring. Made a whole ring cage UFC thing about him, man, and slapped some merchandise out there. And then now he's back out here local, man, because you never know whether it's their reason they left or it's just there's so much talent out there. Gabe, we have eclipsed this 55-minute mark heading into the hour. And the reason we do it this way is because we need the big ugly many more times on this show. And I told him when we started, we're gonna have ourselves a segment here where we're gonna, just like the fucking movie with Gerard Butler, man, we're gonna have the fucking ugly truth, man. And as this show progresses, there's gonna be some times. I also wanted to throw a pitch at you too. I thought something funny would be actually critiquing shitty independent wrestling concession stand food. And I just thought that would be great, man. If we could come on here, we could be like, "Oh, dude, the nachos are shit." You know what I mean?
Dude, see, you're going. Then you have to go to my show. Our fucking snack food is fucking awful, dude. Our snack bar is a boiling hot dogs and nacho cheese, dude.
We did in Vacaville. We had the popcorn. We had the popcorn, and me and Paul were talking about it. One of your students brought us a bag of popcorn. It was a big ass bag of popcorn too, and Paul said, I got the popcorn and I forgot. I had said something about it. And Paul said, too much salt. And he said something like a little too dry. And I looked at Paul and I said, how the fuck do you fuck up popcorn? You know what I mean? But
that's how they get you to buy more soda and shit there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's very true.
Now tell us we're going to close this thing out. Tell us with you, where can we find you? Where in Sacramento? Because I got to come down there. I told you I was coming down there before. I fucking didn't. Where do we find you? What days do we find you at? And tell us what you got coming up, man.
The school is located on 2122 X Street. It's right off of Broadway. It's in this back alley right behind the post office. It's kind of hard to miss. Address is on the back. The front of it's like this other business. We have the garage in the back where we train at. So if somebody does decide to come, we train Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, except for this week, from 6 to 9. But go ahead and message me before you get there. So it's a electronic lock and back. So I gotta be able to lock it to let people in. But other than that, on social media, pretty much everything's Ugly Dojo. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, everything you can reach me on. I think even on X, it's Ugly Dojo. But yeah, other than that, we have a student show next. We call it, it's not really, it's a matinee show next Saturday at the school. It's a noon show, so people. I do matinee shows so people can still go out and do other shows if they want. I don't pay on those shows. Those shows are strictly to get people work. I like to use like a vet against a greenhorn, pretty much. Get those kids work, because a lot of times kids just work another student and they never learn. So I have enough pros around that are volunteering their time to help out. Usually one of their students, and it's a smaller place than last time, but we're going to get it done. So we're going to be doing those once a month, and then we're looking to go back to Vacaville in February. Other than that, I'll be booking for Lucha Extreme. I'm going to a show for them in Florida, and I think January 18th we got a big show there, and then back over here, and I book for Lucha Extreme, and then of course my company. So I don't have much planned for January, just that.
Cool. Well, I'm gonna see you at this Saturday, the matinee show.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be at the matinee show, brother, because I don't know if you've seen it or not, but we're doing Friday night prospects, and I've had a lot of people hit me up, and I think these things are so good at developing these young talents, getting photography, the stock footage, which will eventually build up for a high definition entrance video, the interviews. I think these things that we're doing with the young kids are so important, and you let me know. I'm coming to the Ugly Dojo.
Definitely. Well,
100%.
I tell my students all the time, because they like yourself. A lot of them didn't know who you were at first. Same thing with Isadora. They heard of Paul, but about that, when I said Steve, they had no fucking idea what I was talking about. But they know about. I said, these are the guys that I kind of started wrestling when I broke in the business with. These guys I met. So I tell my guys now, like, these people around you, these other greenhorns, you better befriend them, because these could be friends for the rest of your fucking life. These guys you're going to work with until you're done with the business, and then beyond, you know. I remember the first time we did a joint show with you guys. You guys invited me over. We did at some gym out there, and it was you and TJ Wims walked up to me, and I was like the enemy at the time. And you guys walked up, sat next to me, bullshit the whole fucking night. And I was like, these guys are supposed to hate me over here. And it was just from then on, we were just boys, you know. And so I tell these kids, this is what I want you to experience. These are all your fucking friends. You're gonna have some shitheads along the way that kind of, you know, we wean them out, but these guys are gonna be working with probably for the rest of your life, and somebody in this fucking group's gonna make it big, you know. So, you know, be cool to everybody and help each other out, man. Don't stab each other in the back, because these are your friends for the rest of your life, you know.
Yes, sir. Well, we're gonna close this out. Paul, do you got anything? What you
Man, I
got?
just want to tell you, Ugly, man, we appreciate you. And like Zach said, man, we'd like to do this numerous more times, because there are so many more topics that we can discuss. And hopefully, like we've always said, this is our opportunity to help the younger kids. You know, try to get opportunities that we wish we had at some point. And this is the way that we're going to try to give back to this business that we all love so much.
Definitely.
And ladies and gentlemen, I'm Zack Primetime Reeb. That's the wrecking ball, Paul Isadora. That's the big ugly JD Bishop. And you're looking at 60 to 65 years of pro wrestling experience. So you young wrestlers out there, you get ready, because ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, the 1, 2, and the 3 has been hit. And it ain't just us. For all of you, together, collectively, we're going over.